It would be relatively simple to just go on Google and search, define serial killer. Odds are you would get a relatively simple answer, courtesy of Google's Mass Dictionary on the first page of the search engine. According to this Mass Dictionary, a serial killer is someone who commits a series of murders, often with no apparent motive and typically following a characteristic or predictable behavior pattern. In essence, that's a clear, concise way of explaining what a serial killer is, but it's not entirely in-depth. So take a seat as we delve into debatably one of the world's most interesting topics, serial killers. Serial killers have existed since recorded history came into fruition. For instance, one of the earliest recorded serial killers was a woman by the name Lacosta of Gault during the early 1st century. She was quite crafty in her ways of murder. She would create poisons and kill men, blaming it on the bubonic plague. To this day, the amount of ways you could kill someone has only drastically increased, and it's no surprise that we have an average of 25 to 50 serial killers at any given time. Like stated earlier, serial killers can only be considered serial killers if they kill multiple people, specifically 3. Though as a surprising fact, serial killings account for no more than 1% of all murders committed in the US, but I digress. According to the FBI, they estimate that there are 25 to 50 serial killers at any given time, operating in the good old United States of America. If that's the case, then each one would presumably be responsible for 3 murders a year. That being said, there is more to a serial killer than just how many lives they have taken. When talking about serial killers, one question always comes to mind. Why? Why do serial killers, well, to simply put, kill? Why do serial killers have a need to kill other people? Well, the common stigma is that all serial killers are mentally ill. Though that may have some merit, it's not entirely true. Serial killers are often classified as psychopaths or sociopaths, both of which are not considered to be a mental illness, but rather a personality disorder. In other words, a serial killer must be unaware that murder is legally wrong while committing the act of murder in order to be legally insane, according to the article on the Scientific American. Further in that same article, it explains that because psychopaths such as Gacy and Rader have an overwhelming desire and a compulsion to kill, that causes them to ignore the criminal law with impunity, for they lack any sort of empathy. So, back to the main point. Some serial killers kill out of compulsion. Some serial killers kill because they lack the ability to feel empathy, or lack the ability to feel embarrassment when caught murdering someone else. However, in other studies, specifically that of the University of Wisconsin, shows that social factors, although small, may have an impact on making a person a serial killer, typically resulting from abuse as a child. To reiterate, social factors contribute very little into molding a person into a psychopath or a serial killer. In fact, there aren't many examples of serial killers who had terrible childhoods that led them to become serial killers. One of the most notable examples being Charles Manson, who had been abused and neglected as a child, which led him to commit such terrible crimes. Even still, the list of serial killers who had a perfectly normal childhood is far longer than those who had an abusive one. Infamous serial killers such as Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, and Dennis Rader all had normal childhoods and grew up in a healthy household with supportive family members. Lastly, it is believed that some people become serial killers because of the morbid gratification they got from it. Shockingly, some people kill for the mere thrill of killing. They crave an adrenaline rush that can only be quelled when they murder. One of the most well-known serial killers, who killed for the thrill of murder and the adrenaline rush they would get from evading the law, who has never been caught, might I add, was the Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac Killer would send letters to his local newspaper and taunt the police into what he deemed a cat and mouse chase. The term for this kind of serial killer would later be coined as hedonist thrill killers. So after discussing statistics about serial killers, some history about them, and the psychology behind them, we get to the meat of the topic. What defines a serial killer? To be frank, a serial killer can most easily be described as someone who kills a series of 3 or more people, and have psychological issues that lead them to killing. Some serial killers kill out of compulsion. Some serial killers kill because they lack the ability to feel empathy, or embarrassment when caught murdering someone else. Some serial killers kill because of a traumatic childhood, and others kill for the thrill of it all. Truth be told, it is terrifying knowing that people kill in general. And on a more terrifying note, let me leave you with this one small factoid. Did you know, the average person walks past 36 serial killers in their lifetime?